trust yourself. Don't judge yourself, which I know is an absolute outcome, but to give yourself grace and to know that you're doing your best and your best is yet to come.
Welcome to Climb Higher with Her, a podcast about women and their leadership journeys. I am Darlene Repollet, First Lady of Kean University in New Jersey, and your host. As a former corporate HR executive of 25 years, I have a passion for understanding what makes leaders thrive. We are going to speak with women leaders from government to business and everything in between to hear their stories, share their valuable lessons, and gain actionable wisdom. Today, we are exploring the intersection of global brand strategy, authentic leadership, and the power of returning to one's roots. Our guest is a powerhouse in the media and marketing world. As the Vice President of Disney Creative Works and Multicultural and Inclusive Solutions at Disney Advertising, she leads the charge in how some of the world's most iconic brands, including ESPN, ABC, and National Geographic, connect authentically with diverse audiences. But her journey is defined by more than just her impressive corporate trajectory. From her early days in production and on-air promotions to a transformative decade in Ireland, where she earned her MBA and launched her own marketing consultancy, she has consistently embraced curiosity as a career catalyst. Today, she's bringing the global perspective back to where it all began. An alumna of Kean University, she now serves on the Kean University Foundation Board and is shaping the next generation of leaders as an adjunct professor. Christina Carey Dunleavy is a leader who truly understands the art of the pivot and the impact of inclusive storytelling. Christina, I've been looking forward to our conversation, so thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited for the conversation.
You've built this incredible career across major brands and even on different continents. How has that sense of curiosity been your North Star through all of your transitions?
Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of live by the ethos of chasing my curiosity. And so in every role that I take or every decision that I make, it's really understanding kind of what I'm going to get out of it. What's the purpose of this move or going back to school or taking on this new role. And as long as it's serving kind of that opportunity to learn more, to understand a new facet that maybe I haven't had access to, then I find the purpose in it and therefore the right decision to make.
And so you said chasing curiosity. And to that point, you're talking about making sure that you're learning something new, you're being challenged, it's different for you, right? That's what I hear you saying with all of the
Absolutely.
different job opportunities and your different avenues you've taken along the way. And so can you give me an example in particular of one that resonates most with you or that's most memorable for you when you were chasing curiosity and sort of where you ended up?
Absolutely. I will say it's ingrained in my entire life, adult life especially. One example is I was a working professional. Mm-hmm. I had moved out to LA. I'm originally from New Jersey. And I had a great job. I really enjoyed it. I was able to do all things. I had a great boss, great leadership who just allowed me to really chase curiosity. But continuing education was incredibly important to me. Mm-hmm. And I remember considering the idea of going for my master's degree. And originally I was going to go to a university in Los Angeles. And, I was talking to my boss one day and he had worked and lived abroad. And I was like, that's really interesting. I love to travel. Let me just see about
Yeah.
grad school there and what that will look like and the differences between the programs that I was considering. And I decided to go to Ireland, to University College Dublin for grad school for my MBA. And I don't think I would have necessarily considered that or known it was an opportunity for me unless I had this idea of like, let's go for it. Let's chase the curiosity. Let's see what's, out there. Let's see what's available to you. And to have this different experience that was completely different than what I was definitely, used to in my
Yeah.
day to day. And, months later, I left and I ended up living in Ireland and Dublin for 6 years.
Wow. So, I want to get to the mindset of that, right? Because this wasn't a travel learn. This wasn't a semester abroad. You just said you went for graduate school and you ended up staying 6 years. But you also talked about how this has been with you, this curiosity, chasing curiosity, certainly for your entire adulthood, and I suspect even before that. So where does that come from?
That's a great question. I do think it comes from childhood. I think it comes from my mother, my family. I'm one of six children. And so,
Okay.
you're definitely building adventures every day in which
Yes.
you're together with your siblings and kind of moving through life in such like a dynamic unit. Seeing my mom, who is a professional single mother, being able to absolutely kill it, as well as then, coming home and having six rambunctious kids ready to go. And so maybe it's innate in me, but I don't know that it surfaced or really manifest into what it is until later on, where I had
Okay.
to make decisions for myself, right? Before, it's very much I'm guided.
Yes.
And I do think and am grateful for Kean University, actually, in that I remember having another college in mind for undergrad. And when I was directed towards Kean University from my mother, I was like, it's not necessarily where I wanted to go, but when the choice was so right, and that was the handoff. She made that decision for me, but from then on, I had to make the decisions forward. And the freedom to understand what my path is, define my path, and then to create that really was the start of that. Like, if I hadn't had the need to kind of figure it out, then I don't, I don't even know. I don't know if you do what ifs, but I really don't know the what if
Yeah.
that wasn't present for me.
Interesting. Interesting. It's funny, right? How the influences in our life, the upbringing, and then kind of like you said, the handoff moment,
Yeah.
and how we choose to pick that up and run with it. And my goodness, you have certainly run with it. You have picked up the mantle. And that kind of leads into my next question of that significant step that you took to choose to pursue your graduate degree abroad in Ireland. Your move to Ireland, though, it wasn't just about the MBA, right?
True.
You ended up, while you were there, you led marketing for Ireland's national broadcaster, to my understanding,
Yes.
and later started your own agency there as well.
I was a consultant.
A
so
consultant.
I worked with various
Okay.
agencies and companies in
Got it.
regards to different philanthropic work.
But a consultant business of
Yeah.
yours,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So my question is, how did that experience shape your leadership style and then also your confidence in general during that experience of 6 years being in Ireland?
Yeah. I mean, what you end up respecting, and, I had this before, but definitely being, within a different country, within a different culture, and just understanding a different way of living and process and all of the things was just that the importance of representation, the importance of respecting the differences finding the benefit in the differences and being able to harness that to really get the best work. And that is in the teams that I led, in the way in which I showed up. I think it was incredibly important to understand, like, that's the special sauce, is the fact that we're all different. And so being able to really be present in that and to make sure that people understand the benefit that they bring because of that was what I was deeply focused on. Confidence, in regard to that, I think that's something that is always working, right? I think that's something that we always have to nurture and remind ourselves that we deserve to be in spaces, that our voice matters, our contribution matters. And I don't know that that's ever at 100%. It is something I know I work on constantly, and something that I always try to help people around me, like, to have a voice and to be able to express yourself and to know that your opinion matters. That is critical to me for the teams in which I lead. I want them to show up. My whole role as a leader is to ensure they're set up for success and can move forward in the way in which they want to, and able to do what they want to achieve.
Well, it's interesting because your explanation to my question is really about those two blending together, right? The leadership style that you described in terms of valuing the differences in everyone breeds confidence in people. And so I love that explanation that you gave. Your experience abroad allowed you to appreciate the differences in people and how you've translated that into your leadership style with your teams. And that generates their confidence, right? It breeds and grows the confidence in people to be their authentic selves and to bring their value and know that they're valued every day that they come into the workforce and are working on your team. So I love that. I think I didn't anticipate, right? But as you were talking, I'm like, well, the two go hand in hand, and and one really births the other in a way.
Yes. And it's interesting. I tend to think for individuals to feel motivated within their job in life, right, is that they are bringing value to their role and that they are valued for the role. And roles, right? We have multiple roles in life, right?
Absolutely.
We're multifaceted individuals, and that it cuts across everything in which we do. It's very simple, but it's interesting that it's not always done. It's not always delivered on. It's not always what people feel.
Very true.
And just making that small adjustment so people understand that, to me, is like a tremendous shift that can happen.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Those are words of wisdom for all leaders to take with them. So my next question is with regards to constant change. I think we're all going through constant change, and your career is an example, your successful career is an example of constant change. And so how have you learned to embrace change instead of, frankly, fearing it? Because a lot of people do fear change and are resistant to change. And so what advice would you give folks that are facing big transitions?
Change is hard. I think, one, as long as everyone recognizes that, right? Like that's okay. Change can be hard. Change can be frustrating. But the reality in that is change is constant. And so as long as we continuously keep that in mind, you can work through the emotions that are from change, right? The other thing is, and what has helped me, I should say, is there's the things I can control, and there's the things I can't. And so I am going to put my energy towards the things that I can control. And that tends to be how I can show up, that I'm motivated and can do the best job, that my son feels that he is my number one priority, right? It's all in every aspect of your life. And what you can't control, it's not to let it go, but it's to just be mindful of. And I think if you can wrap your head around the idea that you can step away from all of the noise, it's not controlling you. And that came later. I'll be honest. Change early on in my career was like it would knock me off my feet. And I remember making a conscious decision that, why are you getting so uptight and so nervous? Why are you so scared about what's to happen when you literally have zero control of the outcome?
Wow.
And so in that, I was able to step back. And of course, where I can influence, change that's happening, absolutely. And to be able to allow individuals to have a seat at the table, to talk about it, to share their opinions, their insights, and around what should happen, always available to listen. But, there's always going to be change in decisions that I don't. And so being able to manage through that, it is a conscious decision that each individual has to make, and what works for them in that, right? Exercise could be a great way to kind of get your mind right for you, or it could be drawing. It could be really anything that kind of is able to take you out of that, to kind of refocus you, to then go back towards what you can control.
Well, and like you said, managing fear and managing change is not easy.
No.
And to your point, not getting so wrapped up in all of that change and taking a step back. It's almost as if you have to create that out of body experience for yourself, right? In a way to focus on, like you said, okay, within this issue, this change issue, what can I control and what do I not have control of? Think about the things that are going to take you away from that sometimes so you can get a break from it, because it's not healthy to be steeped in it 24/7, right? Like, you have to manage change, you do, but at some point maybe you need to take a break from it too. Go for a walk, deep breathing exercises, all of the things that we've heard about, right? But a lot of times we forget when we're in the midst of it to take that conscious break.
The breathing's key. I don't know about yourself, but when I am in stress, or even when I am working out, I hold my breath. It is something that people tell me constantly. So the idea of just breathing actually is a tremendous kind of break from it as well.
Yeah. So do you have a specific story or an example of when this consciousness around managing change really came to fruition for you? Because you talked about how still obviously working through that and having to remind yourself, and I agree with you completely, having to consciously remind myself, okay, you can manage this. But is there a time early in your career where you talked about kind of always being anxious about it, and then realizing, like, why am I letting this control me?
Yeah. When I first moved out to Los Angeles, I worked at smaller, more independent agencies and production shops. And the reality is they have to stay nimble and agile just based on their size and being able to have a strong stance in the industry. And so change was inevitable at all times, as well as like the ability to have to wear multiple hats. So at all times you feel like you're doing all things, and that still may not be enough, because they still have to change and be very relevant for business. And I remember just thinking, I'm getting no sleep. I am doing all the things. And yet, here's still this outcome. And it's just like, like you can do all these things and work as hard as you do, and to know, oh, that doesn't control the outcome. That doesn't make it an absolute that I will keep my job or
Yes.
the individuals around me will keep their job. And it seems so obvious, but so kind of in the moment, like, got it. And I was young. Like, I was in my early 20s at that point, and it was just like, okay, I got it. Like, and I understood, like, there is a business to run.
Yes. Yes.
And there are people that work at that business. Decisions have to be made.
Right.
Right. And it was just like, it gives a different respect and calm to the situation in which you're in then. Because right at that moment,
Yeah.
I don't control not a thing in there except myself,
Yourself,
and how I show up.
And wow, that is super powerful, because people go through situations all the time that are significantly impactful to them, career-wise, personal life, etc. And for you early on in your life to experience what you did, but then have the wherewithal to look at it with a slight shift in mindset. I talk about mindset a lot.
I like it.
Because that's the powerful piece. You can choose to say, all right, here, this is the situation. I'm going to control what I can, or you can spiral, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a benefit. So for you to learn that early and take that lesson with you, I think is valuable to our listeners to realize that. But also realize it's not easy. So I don't want anyone listening to us to kind of miss that part of the message, right? That it's not easy, but continue to try that and work at it.
The reality is every situation's different. How you initially react is going to be different. It's just getting back to a core self that can help you through and guide you through whatever that situation is, right? We are hardest on ourselves.
Yes.
For sure, right? And so it's just having the tools available to you to be able to kind of recenter yourself. We're all going to have initial reactions, and I think that is absolutely okay. That's human. That's natural.
Right.
It's then how do we pick ourselves up, or how do we kind of realign ourselves to just go forward?
Yes. Thank you for that, Christina.
Yeah.
So, as I've said before, you've had a fascinating, I'll call it even full circle career. You returned to Disney on multiple occasions.
Yes.
And you're now back at Disney in a major leadership role. You have also come back full circle at Kean University because you are a foundation board member and you are an adjunct professor.
Yes.
Yay, we're so happy.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So what has returning to these familiar spaces, what has that taught you about how you've grown as a leader since the first time that you were in those respective spaces?
I love this question because I get to speak about people
Okay.
and community. With Disney, I have had the great pleasure of working there, leaving, and coming back. And always what brings me back is the people. Full stop. Some phenomenal individuals work there, and I've been very lucky to be in their presence. And at this point, there's individuals who have known me since I was 23, 24, right?
That's amazing.
That was a long time ago. Compared to now, I have been very fortunate in the business units in which I've worked, the leadership in which I've had. I've been very, very lucky in regards to what I have been charged with at Disney through all of my roles. Like, it has been a phenomenal learning experience, and it's continuous learning, which is incredibly important to me, especially in my current role. There is not a day that there is not something new that I have taken away. And that is incredibly key to me, because what I would always kind of deter from naturally would be a place of complacency, right? Of feeling static in a role. And you definitely do not have that at Disney in any capacity. And then with Kean, I have a tremendous, tremendous love for Kean. I found who I was when I was 18, right, at Kean. And it's the people as well. I have family that I have met at that school. Still to this day, very tight with them. And so to be able to be in that space and now as an adjunct professor is kind of phenomenal, in like this out of body experience where I get to teach me back, in the day. It's really a special experience, one in which I take very seriously, but enjoy immensely. And so, but it all comes back to, in both situations, the people, the community in which you have around you.
That's beautiful. I picture your first start at Disney to now, right? And you talked about the people that saw you then, that are still there, and you're back, and the growth and the friendships, the mentorship that has taken place, and that now you're in a position to see some of the younger Christinas coming through the Disney doors, and the opportunity that you have to give back to them. And then the same thing at Kean. I think that's beautiful. And it's an opportunity for reflection, really, in terms of how far you've come and the leader that you are, and that you can give back to those organizations now that have given so much to you, right? Yeah,
and I think there's a definite role I have in that, a requirement, right? And it is to give back. It is to take a meeting when someone requests to have a conversation, someone wants to talk. It's to really believe in that open door policy and to allow people to connect with you. That's important. That's critical. That's, like I said, a requirement that thankfully a number of people did that for me.
Yes.
And so it is then something that I find incredibly important to do as well. And it's great because my current leader, it's very much the same way. Like, we're incredibly like-minded. And so it's then understood, it's intrinsic, and then how we're going to operate, the time in which I have available in a day, and, how much of that is dedicated to others. And then obviously the work in which we need to get done. I think if everyone does that, I think there's something really tremendous there in helping individuals grow and recognize their desired trajectory.
I love what you said about making sure that you plan your time for your people. So even as leaders, we can get inundated and bogged down with the tactical,
of course,
the strategy, the business aspect of things. But if our people are not okay, how's the work going to get done? Because we can't do it by ourselves. So the fact that you're actually managing your calendar to ensure you have space and time for the folks that report to you, or maybe individuals elsewhere in the organization that you're mentoring, or whatever the case may be, but you're intentional about creating that time for them, is a leadership skill that I think people should absolutely make sure that they are paying attention to.
Yeah, and you're right? Like, we can easily get stuck in the work that has to get done, and it's critical as well. But to your point, the team and the larger company where you can support others, right? The return is going to be dynamic. And so that is part of the job. That is part of the work that needs to be done. And then, yes, I take something very meaningful away from that personally, because I do believe that is a function of my role as a person, never mind my role in my career.
Yeah. So that actually leads me into another question. Having moved from where you were at Kean, all the different jobs that you've had, and now coming back as an adjunct professor and sort of looking back, right? What is one real world lesson that you feel is most critical for students to understand today? Something that they won't find in a textbook necessarily. What is that sort of one real world lesson specifically around the media industry?
You can't do it yourself. I think individuals have a natural tenacity, desire to deliver, to prove themselves, and try to do that singularly. And you can't. It is with teams, and it's with many people, especially now. There are many individuals that are involved. So really, how do you become a master conductor, right? Bringing in all of the parts to play beautifully together to get to the output, the deliverable in which you need. And it's not about yourself then. It's really making sure everyone can show up to deliver their contribution, right? That then really makes it all work.
Well, that master conductor image is in my mind, and yeah, I get it, right? Like, you, regardless of where you are on that team, you have to play with the other folks on the team.
Yeah.
Whether you are the conductor or a member of the band, you have to play the same tune and the same notes to all get to where you want to be.
Absolutely. And so, like, the takeaway and kind of through line of that as well is relationships. True, honest, authentic relationships, in order to build that dynamic to really allow it to all work together in a beautiful way, is necessary as well.
Yeah. So, Christina, we have covered some deep ground today in terms of leadership. And before I let you go, I want to move into our Climb Higher with Her rapid fire round.
Okay.
And so just give me the first thing that comes to mind, no overthinking necessary. And so question 1, early bird or night owl?
God, what about a good late morning person? 11 to 2 is a sweet spot for me.
All right. You know what? We'll take it. That's funny. All right. I got another good one for you. Favorite Disney or Pixar movie? Of course, you know I had to ask that question, right?
I like it.
Favorite Disney or Pixar movie that best represents your life now?
Zootopia.
Zootopia. And I haven't seen it yet, but I heard my daughter saw
so
it.
Good. It's on Disney Plus right now, 1 and 2.
All right.
But when you think about, right, all of the different creatures across, right, a land coming together and all of the chaos that can ensue from there, that is my life with home, career, school, being an adjunct professor, constant.
Very good. All right. Well, you have inspired me to make time to watch Zootopia. So, next question, call or text?
Text. For sure.
And so you lived in Ireland, as we said, for a long period of time. What is the one thing from Irish culture you wish we had more of in American business?
Holidays. Take your holidays. Take your holidays. No one gets a gold star for not taking their time off.
Amen to that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If I could go back to my corporate career and hear that message, on multiple times,
Yes.
multiple occasions. And last rapid fire round question. What is your must-have morning ritual to get into a creative headspace?
I know it's going to sound maybe bizarre, but it's ensuring I have the opportunity to take my son to school that
No,
morning.
that doesn't sound bizarre at all.
Unlocks
I
it
love
all.
it.
Yes, gives me peace in the start of the day.
Yes, that's beautiful. I love it. That's so meaningful. Okay. Well, thank you for indulging us
Thank
and
you for having
sharing.
me.
And so my final question for you is, what's your biggest takeaway for our listeners from today's conversation?
Trust yourself. Don't judge yourself, which I know is an absolute outcome, but to give yourself grace and to know that you're doing your best and your best is yet to come.
Christina, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. And, you know, from the high stakes creative rooms at Disney that you are in every day, to the bold leap to Ireland, and all of the experiences in between, your story is such a powerful reminder that curiosity is a leadership skill. You've shown us that climbing higher isn't just about the next title, but about having the courage to pivot and the heart to bring all that wisdom back home to the next generation here at Kean. So to our listeners, I hope Christina's journey inspires you to look at your own transitions, not as risks to be feared, but as opportunities to expand your world. Thank you for tuning in to Climb Higher with her. Until next time, keep climbing. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Climb Higher with Her, a podcast produced by Kean, a proud research university. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. For more information, visit kean.edu/climb higher with her.